The universal message I would give everybody is get ownership of your own data.
You're listening to GigaPay. Pay. The most compliant technology to pay your creators globally.
Hello, everyone. Today I have a very special guest with us, Marco Ricci from Takumi, their CEO, and he's joining us from London. How's everything over there, Marco?
It's good, thank you, Andrea. All fine here, apart from it's raining, but it's always raining in London, so no new news there.
I can imagine. But today we have something more interesting than the rain, Marco. We're going to talk about influencer marketing, your journey as CEO at Takumi, but also your 22 years in the industry. I'm sure that many ladies will want to hear this interview when I tell them that you've worked together with Anna Wintour. So how is it working with her? And what was your biggest learning from your time at Condé Nast? Because you spent there 2 years, right?
Yes. Anna obviously is a integral part of a very well-oiled machine, which is Condé Nast. And the reality is it is a very successful dinosaur of media across the various publications. People obviously know Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, etc. I was brought in to accelerate Condé's movement from being a print business to a digital business, and very proud and delighted to say that was successful in the time I was there to create a digital first business, working with Anna and her incredible ideas and visions that have been consistent for a quarter of a century and more. Was both a wonderful opportunity, and also just to see the talent in creation of ideas and pushing the boundaries of what is content, what is a storyteller, what is the culture calendar of different brands, was a fantastic experience. I mean, look, Condé is one of the largest media companies I've worked for, along the likes of Google and Microsoft in my time, and it's certainly, I feel that there's always a need to continuously learn, no matter how many years you've been in an industry. And Condé gave me a new string to my bow, which is the cultural creative side of business, what we know in ad tech as the sell side, the publisher side, but the intersection between buyers, brands and agencies, and publishers' audience was really interesting for me. And like I said, it was a great time.
So from Google to Condé Nast, what a great asset for Takumi. How did you end up in Takumi, Marco?
It was probably in the same pattern and tradition of always wanting to learn more and learn areas of media that I didn't know or hadn't experienced before. I felt I'd done ad tech to a level of sophistication and experience that I was satisfied with. Influencer marketing, the emergence from back from the world that influencer wasn't a word. There was bloggers, there was sort of content that people were creating. Now it's the creator economy, if you look at it today. That whole space has, if recent research is accurate, is growing 20.1%, when digital is actually starting to slow down at about 5%. So what that means is that there's been a pivoting moment of brands shifting a fifth of their budget towards influencer marketing in the last 12 months. It's been continuously accelerated, but right now it's quite a rapid shift of budget. And I looked at it, across the spectrum of ad tech, martech, and felt, well, is there a business out there that has got a good foundation, very good talent? For me, that's what's most important, is a good technology layer. And Takumi seemed to tick those boxes. But what it needed to do is what I would then probably talk to you about, I'm sure today, that I think the entire industry, influencer marketing industry, needs to do and improve on, which is to make it a data-driven business. I took the challenge under a year ago to join Takumi as their CEO because I felt that there was an opportunity in market to be a differentiator, to disrupt the status quo, where, quite frankly, you have platforms and agencies who are baton handlers. You have creators. In the middle are the agency platforms. And of course, then you have the brands that the content has been made for. So I think that's just a little bit archaic, a little bit old-fashioned. And I felt that there was an opportunity to disrupt that and take it from an innovation point of view forwards to be a little bit more sophisticated.
Actually, you just touched on a point which I recently discussed in an interview with Christina. She's the brand activation team lead at Boost. So guys, I recommend you watching that interview. She was saying that one of the biggest challenges that brands have nowadays is to measure and track, which is what we will cover today. But just before we go into that, for those who are listening who may know a little bit about Takumi, or maybe this is new to them, can you tell us what Takumi is and what makes you different from competitors?
Absolutely. So Takumi has been around since 2015. It is a fully managed service for brands and agencies who want to tap in to the influencer marketing space. We are famously very strong in the area of creators. So we have somewhere in the region of, I think, 250,000 creators, influencers in our portfolio that we utilize for campaign activations for brands. Very much a global business. We have our London office, we have our US office, but we are live today in 34 different markets. And what we provide is a service that allows a brand to, from literally the start to the finish, the full 360 journey of setting up, creating strong content with creators, matching that to a brand's focus, brand's mission, whether it's awareness, reach, trying to increase their follower growth, understand their social listening out in the wider market. And we activate all that ourselves for the brands on behalf of our clients, all the way through to the data reporting of performance of those campaigns, and finally the creator payments. So we are a platform and an agency, depending how our clients would like to use us.
Understood. So now that we know what Takumi is and what makes it different, can you tell us what you think needs to change? Because the influencer marketing industry is ever evolving, but in your experience, what do you think needs to really change this year?
Absolutely, very important point, and I agree with Christina, one of my fellow guests through you guys. What we did an event about 2 months ago, which was titled "What Goes Unmeasured Goes Unmanaged." And if you think about this shift of budget towards influencer marketing, if influencer campaigns go live with very large budgets, but the brands don't really understand how it really performed, like what was the outcome, what was the true ROI on that campaign, then I think that we're all going to be slightly in the dark. There's an element of lack of trust and transparency that comes into play, and the brand's going to say, well, how do I know that the more budget I put into influencer marketing, it's going to be valuable, it's going to be worth it for me against other media channels? So what I think needs to change, and to go back to your point, what makes Takumi different, is we are leading the charge of being a data-driven influencer marketing business. We have recently launched a new product, which is called Influence Score. And what that allows a brand or marketer to do is see for the first time in real time, so live, how they are performing in their influencer campaign against a set of metrics or KPIs or goals that they care about. And we know this can be different for different activations, for different product lines for a brand. And so that being customized to what is success to that particular CMO of that particular brand, we think is very important. And so we're providing access to data, which is live and rich and constantly evolving. It's benchmarked against, for example, their competitors in a vertical. It's looking at the market and the trends as a whole. It's also pulling in information on social listening, so you can see what is, how are you performing against key hashtag tentpole moments for that brand through a classic calendar of the year. and it's giving them the data that they're looking for, literally in their hands. And it's an app that we've created. We're very proud that our clients are seeing a step change in performance since using it. And I think the key word, Andrea, for me, is that what influencer marketing is lacking today is optimization.
Right.
I think what Takumi and I've just finished off that, Takumi and arguably all of our fellow sort of competitors in this space, we're all doing, we're kind of delivering on a brief that our client will tell us to do, but we're completely reliant on the creator's performance, their true influence on that campaign. I think this gives us and our clients more control to steer the performance of their campaign against actual data, actionable, accountable data on the different social platforms that they might be using, the different creators that are live on those platforms. And if that can show a different outcome, a step change of performance, for example, an uplift in sales, then we're doing something right.
Can you give us more intel around the new product? What were brands really asking for? What things are you offering them to measure that is different from, what they can find on the internet or on other apps?
Yeah, so the way to summarize that is there are tools out there that pull in data from the social platforms, direct from the social platforms. Takumi does that every day as well. But there's that popular phrase of marking your own homework. And, not meaning to sort of mention particular names, but everyone knows who TikTok and Insta and YouTube and all these companies are. They've all got their own version of measurement, their own formula that creates the data output that they provide in a report, but it's their own data point, it's their own version of truth. The danger, of course, is that there's discrepancy between different engagement rates from different social platforms, different EMV rates from different companies. And of course, then how does a brand know that the data they're receiving is accurate and true to the KPI that they're aiming at? So what Takumi's new product Influence Score does is it creates a bespoke score and benchmark that is pulled from the data points that that brand, our customer, cares about. It is based on our own formula, which of course is trade secret. But if you keep pushing me, I'll give you some more.
I will.
But it's important that we feel that there is transparency for a brand, not at the end of what the industry calls the wrap-up report, which could come, by the way, 1-2 months later. How can you really optimize a campaign after it's finished? It's impossible. So we believe that real-time data being fed into a central data hub, that, by the way, media agencies as well gain massive value from this. They've spent the last 10 years creating their own DMP, their own data hub, centralized reporting tools that they can use across media types and say, well, here's a true attribution of whether our digital campaign influence in any way our TV advertising, out of home, all the different channels. And so there's a real value, not just to the brands, but the agencies working as principal for their brands to have actionable data live to make decisions on outcome and to steer that performance in the right direction. As a whole, the industry is waiting on the platforms to deliver a final data point that no one is really auditing.
Now that you mentioned this, of course, I'm going to pull. Can you mention any company that is currently benefiting from this? Do you have a real life example of what company is, if they've started measuring things, and what results have they really seen?
I don't think I'm allowed to mention particular brand names, but I can tell you that there are verticals such as the airline industry, the beauty industry that are utilizing right now our products and the new product.
Where are they based?
Globally.
Okay, but their headquarters, is that in the US or in the UK?
Some are Paris, some are New York, and some are London.
Okay,
and
great.
these brands have challenged us as their long-term partner to say, look, we very much enjoy working with Takumi. We get a good service from Takumi. the creators that are authentic, well-curated influencers that we put and on board for their campaigns are performing. But we'd love to have more measurement. So that is a real, consistent headline for us, is that we thought, well, it's great that our brands challenge us, but what can we deliver above and beyond and as a differentiator? I can tell you that during the optimization of a typical campaign flight or typical activation that could last 2, maybe 3 months, some of the goals that the clients were setting were, for example, they wanted to achieve an over 1% or about 1% CTR and an engagement rate of anywhere up from 5%, for example. I can tell you on an airline client right now that we've hit 2.75% CTR, which is almost a 3x improvement on their goal. Wow. And engagement rates that are well over sort of 10 to 12%. So much, much higher results than the industry as an average is delivering. And also, I'm pleased to say, higher than what our client was expecting.
My gosh, congratulations. That's massive.
It's a good sign, I think, that data is fundamentally important to the future of influencer marketing, because otherwise it's just nice noise and nice potential. I think really showing the accountability and proving the outcome will only increase budget going towards this sector.
I agree. And congratulations on this, Marco. Really exciting to hear. I want to switch to a different topic, which is also a hot topic in the creator economy, which is AI. Everybody's talking about AI. I use it on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to understand a little bit more about your strategy with AI. Do you guys use it? Do you have any plans on implementing this externally with clients?
The answer is yes, absolutely. We are working every day with AI and the evolution of sort of the technology opportunities that that's going to bring both us and our clients as time goes on. So a lot of the innovations and evolution of our current technologies, the platforms that we use, the machine learning of the data, and that, well-used word, algorithms that create the learnings and the forecasting and the models for the data, that is all at Takumi, utilizing new technologies that are coming from AI. I can say that it is helping us and helping the wider industry authenticate creators, because if you think about it, every creator has a profile or a bio. It's important to ensure that they are real, human, authenticated creators, and AI can assist that because it is looking arguably deeper into, without any sort of GDPR sort of constraints, it's looking into the behaviors of those individuals, those personas, and also allowing us to ensure that whatever we match to future campaign activations are the automation in the technology that we're using is already spitting out and generating sort of a planning focus. It's allowing us to see and forecast ahead what will work or what won't work as activation, or protect creators that we would match to particular brands target audience. It's laser focused on real data, which of course, as you know from me already today, is fundamental to the future of Takumi. And it also speeds up the entire process. We're a managed service, so we're 360. Anything that allows us to automate, to accelerate, and to be more efficient as a business, we are absolutely on board with.
And how do you see the future of influencer marketing with AI? You know that many influencers use it. I use it sometimes, for example, when a brand asks me for a picture in horizontal and then they ask for more pictures which are vertical. I then transform it to a vertical format just because I don't have enough time to repeat the photo shoot, for example. We are starting to see now that some agencies have started their own Instagram accounts with their own AI influencers. and they are using it and it seems to go well with their strategy. But how do you think that AI will affect the work of brands and influencers together?
So for me, there's two sides to that. The first side is what I'd call the discovery phase. The second is the delivery, the actual delivery of the campaign. So in discovery, so if I take us as an example of what we would do in a real scenario with a client, is we go out and recruit creators. We look for the best match and marriage of creator and potential content to what the brand's activation and deliverables would be. And it's interesting because we are already seeing in the wider industry elements of virtual AI coming into play. So it's a bit like a really good trailer for a film. If you see a good trailer, you want to go and watch the film. And we're seeing creator forums. We are building at Takumi right now a pre-aperitif of what that creator could look like when creating content. So if you think about it as an universally understood example, Coca-Cola, if we can use AI to show the AI influencer or potential real creator drinking the Coke can with the Coke can, that's going to speed up the recruitment or discovery of creators massively. Very significant time save there, cost save, of course. And then for me, what's really important, as I keep saying, is the actual delivery. If the outcome by using a flavor of AI creators is able to influence the customers and the actual true KPI goals, so increased conversion, sales, awareness, whatever the success metric for that brand is, if the performance improves by using AI influencers, then that's going to be a very pivotal moment for the industry as a whole. And yes, you could argue that's detrimental to real creators who obviously are making a living from this industry. So I think it's a very interesting moment in time that as the number of AI influencers start to get towards parity with real human creators, what is that going to do to the performance ratio? Time's going to tell. We don't know yet. What I can tell you is we are already investigating, researching, and testing AI creators. And we are also, as I said, using that technology to do the discovery, the pre-vetting process for campaigns.
That takes me to the next question. Let's say that a client comes to you. How are you planning on scaling to areas or regions where you currently do not offer a service?
Well, it's important to caveat that point that we are live in 34 key markets with a lot of our clients, and we are constantly activating new markets. And what is required today to do that is to have scale, as you rightly said. But scale for us is a number of creator profiles. It's not physical presence in a particular market. So, for example, we can activate in UAE at the same speed that we can activate in the UK. Why? Because obviously technology is borderless. Takumi's platform is accessible from anywhere in the world via a two-step verification process. So as long as we have whether they are AI or whether they are real creators in market, so that we have the scale to activate for a campaign at the size of the budget. For example, do we have enough nanos to complement the amount of macros or micro creators that we have in that market? As long as we've got that scale and presence, we are able to activate anywhere. And I think AI will massively help businesses like yours because the speed and efficiency of payment cross borders, cross oceans, I think we all know needs to improve and can improve. But I think for us personally, we don't see today a step change in speed and efficiency in terms of activating new markets because it's technology that is already borderless.
But what are the challenges that you see? Like, what are the things that worry you the most when saying, okay, let's activate this new market for us because this client is asking for it?
No, no, very good point. I think language barrier is for us the opportunity to fix quicker. I think there's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but there's at least 15 different types of Chinese Mandarin language.
Probably.
And that's a guess. But I do remember once in an old company, a startup that was in the ad verification business, and we launched in China. Obviously, very different time zone, different cultural, different publishers and media owners that were running a large video campaign, and we felt that we'd got the language translation just right. Of course, this is way pre-AI and ChatGPT and all that good stuff. And we had a Chinese speaker in the team, which was hugely advantageous, or at least we thought. And then the meeting started. We started the pitch and realized it was a different version of Mandarin that the client was speaking. So, fast forward 15 years, and I think today the opportunity to launch and onboard in a new market where language is completely different and the creator culture may be completely different. The nuances about, what is influence and what does a video content look like in a market that is alien to a westernized business. I think that is certainly an area for innovation with AI, and just that ability to pick up quickly and run with a campaign in a market that maybe we've never run before. I certainly see opportunity there.
Yeah, I agree with you. We are also present in 84 markets. And when we did the expansion, I do remember using tools that used AI, especially for languages. So I definitely agree on you on that. And just because we have 5 more minutes, the last question, which is my favorite, Marco. In our industry, it seems like more and more regulations are coming up. Authorities want to understand where the money is going. What are your thoughts around DAX 7? Is it good for influencer marketing or not?
Yeah, it's interesting that it's your favorite question. It's like you said, it's a smile. So yes, well, I think it's important to mention that it does link to efficiency. It also links to security and arguably accountability with this. So if you take a classic influencer scenario, a creator will obviously want to be paid. But I think what I'm seeing, and to be fair, it's constantly evolving and moving. Yeah, there's the goalposts on this regulation are not set in stone yet. It's been a few years of evolution, but you could argue it's the next version of the deletion of the cookie, which has taken 20 years and it's still not there. These particular regulations that are coming out are to protect creators, to protect the businesses that they are associated with. And an important point to mention is, from what I'm hearing, what I'm reading, if there is a connection of a creator, a persona, and a platform, and that platform could be a Takumi, it could be a social platform such as a TikTok. If there is that legal channel between a platform and a creator, that needs to be that needs to be audited and legalized, in the sense that we need to know that's correct and above board and legalized. That, I think, is only a good thing, because it will improve the curation and authenticity of creators, something that a lot of, if you look at the industry as a whole, there is some element of doubt and trust, or lack of trust, in how authenticated these creators are whenever they suddenly appear as a new creator on the campaign. What is the pre-vetting process to ensure that they are real and secure, and, to their point, on their side of the fence, paid on time. So I think what the sort of DAC regulations are going to bring into play is a level of compliance that goes into that whole process that we will all have to abide by. I think as long as it's consistent, as long as we all adhere to it, as long as there's some form of accreditation, which I think is an important word to mention, Andrea, that, I don't know how many companies today can say that they are live in 34 markets, but imagine there's more than one of us. There should be a consistency that is across markets, not just what comes out of a Brussels or any kind of European legislation. It needs to become global. Otherwise, you will always have a scenario where a brand or a creator may be operating in more than one market, but the laws are slightly different.
I mean, if you think about it, DAX 7 it has to do more with cooperation and reporting within the EU. I recommend you guys to read our posts on DAX 7 if you don't know what it is. I think that we've reached the last part of the interview. We have 4 minutes left, Marco, and this is my very last question, my second favorite. If I invited you on stage to an influencer marketing global event, including your competitors, potential clients, your clients as well, everyone from the industry. Yes. And you had 2 minutes to send a message to everyone. What message would you like to send them, Marco?
So a universal message I would give everybody is get ownership of your own data. If you're a platform like us, technology like us, then it's important that we constantly scrutinize the delivery of the data we give our clients. If you are a brand, take ownership of your data. The days of media agencies owning the data of a brand are long gone, but there are consultancies and constantly third parties coming into the industries. You need, as a brand, as a buyer, to own your data, to scrutinize the data that is reported to you, and that will only lead to improvement in the performance against the budget you're putting into that industry. So that is a universal comment. And on a Takumi pitch in the last minute that I have on stage would be, what really matters to you and what is the problem you are trying to solve? And if that is more sales, if there is more awareness of your brand or better recognition and perception of your brand with potential customers, let the data take you to higher performance, because there's a lot of data there, but it's not being utilized. And we think that the new product we've launched will allow you to get there faster.
Brilliant, Marco. Grazie mille. Thank you so much.
For there you go. Thank you very much.
Yes. But Marco, I hope to see you soon in London when I'm there next. Hopefully we can catch up for a coffee. And from all of us at GigaPay, thank you for your time today. And I hope that our listeners have gotten some good intel and insights for their strategies. So thank you so much and see you in the next interview. Thanks, Marco.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.